on, everybody? Welcome to Hidden Gems, aka the only only radio show where the host will wear a shirt from Wednesday night because nobody got to see it. So here I am in my Wednesday night shirt. The rules don't apply anymore. We in the quarantine. No rules apply for dress codes anymore. So welcome to Hidden Gems, everybody. It's good to see everybody. Good to see some people coming in. Today, I'm super excited. We've got the amazing Nicole Sweeney coming in to join us and to talk about just some of the things going on in another part of the industry that I feel is grossly neglected, which is jazz radio. But yeah, she's an evening radio host at WBGO, and I'm super excited to have her. So I'm going to get her in here real quick so we could get as much time. All right, man. I'm telling you, I remember that first episode. It took me about 5 minutes to get our guest on. Look at me now. I'm popping.
Well,
hey,
McBride's in the hizzle.
What's going on,
got
Sweetie?
cute. Let me tell you something. I ain't gotten cute in a minute.
I was going. Well, all right. So, Baby J, where Baby J at?
Look, Baby J is with her daddy. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Which has been, it's been so different to coordinate that because, you got to do the social distancing and all of that, but then they miss each other and then mommy sure enough needs a break, honey.
Yeah, yes. Yeah.
And it was perfect timing because trust me, y'all, Baby J is a lot. She's a lot. Y'all think I'm a lot. She's got me, Lord, trust me. My dues, I'm paying them. Sorry to my mom for all that I put you through, because she's gonna put me through it. But she's out and about, so mommy can have a real cocktail and talk real things. You know what I'm saying? So
a cocktail and a conversation.
You know how we used to do.
Yeah.
You know how we used to
all
do.
Right, so real quick, let me hip everybody. All right.
Yes.
Not only is Nicole. Not only is Nicole just super cool, always on the scene, always supportive of the musicians.
Thanks.
Oh man, for sure. You got to give credit where credit's due. But not only that, but Nicole was my introduction to a Brooklyn house party. My first Brooklyn house party.
Oh, that party!
Yeah. Hall of Fame, okay?
Yo, Cass ain't go home till like the sun came up. My upstairs neighbor was not, the one that didn't come downstairs, she was not happy. But the one that came down, he was like, when are we doing this again? That was a for real house party.
That was a for real house party. And it was for real a Brooklyn party, man. That was a vibe. I'll never forget that. And
everybody was cool. It's like you wouldn't know that we all didn't. Because not everybody there knew each other, but by the end of the night, we was all peoples.
Spread love is the Brooklyn way, man.
What?
It was a vibe. So,
damn.
Listen, everybody, for everybody watching, if you have questions for Nicole, please put them on the bottom of the screen, so we could get to them. I got a couple questions. We got a couple questions from people who filled out the questionnaire box. A couple of.
What's up? I was like, yo, Chris, I'm really impressed. I'm really impressed, my friend.
Hey, listen. You gotta tell me what I'm doing right out here and what I'm doing wrong. So I can.
You're doing everything right. You're doing everything right because you're trying to connect people to the people. And in this day and age, that's like all we have. You know what I'm saying? Because I can't come over. You can't come through. It's like this is like survival for so many people. Even me, I'm home with a 2.5-year-old literally all day.
Right.
Like, I don't really talk to many other people, but like my mom and other, you know what I mean? So to just have this is like, you're doing everything right. Trust me.
That's beautiful, Matt. So let's talk a little bit about what got you into radio? Not even jazz radio, but what got you into radio in the first place?
Easy. I mean, radio was my first friend. I grew up, it's funny, I grew up in a Caribbean household where as the girl, I was the first child and the only girl. And there's a lot that comes with that. And one of the things my parents forbid was me having a TV in my room. I could never have a television in my room growing up, but I could always have a radio. So that's who I went to. Like, you know, Caribbean parents, you can't go to them and be like, I had a bad day at school. Because they're like, you don't have bad days. I have a bad day. I went to work. You pay my bills. You don't have a bad day. So I would just go to my room and just kind of really, my radio was my friend. The DJs, those were my friends. The music, that was my friend. So from an early age, I was like, I want to do radio. I think I want to do radio. And it wasn't even about my voice because I didn't understand what that was at a young age. It was just all about the companionship of radio. And that was it for me.
Word. Okay. Where did you grow up? What neighborhood did you grow up in? And like, what radio personalities do you remember?
Oh my gosh. You know, it's funny. I remember a couple of different radio personalities because I'm from Long Island. I'm from New York. So I'm a 80s, 90s baby. I grew up in, you know, with hip hop. So there's like DJ Byrd and Angie Martinez. She's a very big inspiration for me. Also, and he just actually recently passed away, Gil Bailey. He used to be on an AM station because he's from Jamaica. And that's where my parents were from. So every Saturday we would listen to 1190 WLIB because that was my parents' connection to home. So radio was just kind of always, you know, these personalities. Gil Bailey I love because he was Jamaican. So, you know, that's another side of me that I would connect to. And the music was always so good. I used to listen to Z100, which is like a pop station. You know, the DJs there were all white, but I listened to them too. So it's just, and can't really forget BLS and Kiss. Kiss is no longer here, but those two stations, man, I mean, because that's a day when radio was just like the DJs made decisions. They were like the tastemakers. You know, they were the ones that held the key to what was coming out next, what was going to be hot. You know, the people really believed in the DJs and
the DJ, you had a I think back in the time, the DJ was like a tastemaker. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, for sure. And exactly, the community. You know, if the DJ was playing something, you at least felt like, yo, you know, this is, you know,
let me pay attention.
A representation of what's going on, and not for the culture, for you know, whatever, or just for their personal taste. I feel like, but okay, cool. I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
New York. Nah, you're good. You're good. You gotta interrupt us sometimes because people just talk. So you got to interrupt the subject.
Well, you know what? I think we should get into the music. So I really called you on here because I thought that it was important. You know, again, I want you to be a tastemaker. You know what I'm saying? And and it's like, all right, so somebody's new to the music, somebody's new to the genre of instrumental music. You know, as I like to call it. You know, and so it's like, all right, cool. What are 10 songs that would kind of draw them in? So let's talk about your first selection by the great Jasmine Horn, Green Eyes. So why did you pick this one?
For a couple of reasons. That's my sister girl. That's my girl. When I saw her perform at Dizzy's, I did Monday nights with WBGO at Dizzy's. She performed with Theo Croker's big band, Big Brother Big Band. Let me get that right. Definitely a big band of some brothers, you know what I mean?
Big brother.
And before she walked on the stage, I took off my shoe like, I will throw this shoe at you because you are just so necessary to the music. I think she's just what the music needs. And why I chose Green Eyes is because it's an Erykah Badu song. And when you mention the demographic of like 25 to 40, when it comes to this music, I find ways to try to introduce it to people that aren't normally accustomed to it. And that's familiarity. You know what I mean? Like you're drawn to something that you know already. So I figured Green Eyes was a good start because to someone in that age group, maybe not the 25 side of things, but maybe more like the 40 side of things, they might recognize that tune and then have an appreciation on how Jasmine just does Jasmine. And then that would just, open them up to want to learn more about her. So that's why that was like number one on my list.
Bet. All right. Well, we're going to get into this one. So this is Green Eyes by the homie, Jasmine.
The homie.
For real.
Oh my God.
I hope she's good. We got her coming up in May. I'm gonna have to look at that date, but we got her coming up. So
I'll be there for that.
Without further ado, this is Green Eyes. Here we go. I'll play a couple of minutes.
Yeah. I like that. What you got in that cup?
Just some water, man. I'm taking it easy, you know. I can get something though if you know. You got your cocktail? Where your cocktail at?
Just
I
don't work on Fridays, okay? It's just so y'all know.
Hey. Right. Don't you got work tonight? No.
No. I need every bit of my job. Look.
Now this is usually what's happening when a song is playing anyway. It's somebody talking through it, so you get to see it all.
Well, you know, I definitely don't try to talk over the music too much. Not when I'm doing my show. It's all about the music.
I heard that. And I probably would be talking through that joint and stopping it.
Sometimes I wish I could.
WBGO.
I wish I could stop it to be like, did y'all hear that?
Right.
All right, back to the music, like some Funk Master Flex kind of thing.
Exactly.
For that, though.
Drop a bomb on their ass.
Jazz bombs, right? Yeah. She just knows how to use her voice. Like, it's just...
It's real. She's a she is a master at changing pitches and direction and all of that stuff.
All of that stuff.
I'll try to put the title here. Let me get my joint on.
And for me, if music should make you, for me, I'll say, when music makes me feel sensual and sexy,
yeah,
I'm there. And Jasmine just has a way of where, like you said with the notes,
right?
You wasn't expecting that. Ooh, you wasn't expecting it.
Yeah, no.
But when she did it, you were like, what?
She has a way. She has a way of just jumping. Like I think of it as an instrument, you know, because I play saxophone. But she has a way of jumping all over her. Well, yes. I mean, her instrument, which is the voice. You
That's
know,
right.
She'll be low and then just
right.
And then you go crazy. I mean, just a manipulator of the pitches.
Yes,
her
pitch manipulator of the pitches.
Come on now,
I'm stealing that.
I took a little theory. I took a little theory back in the day.
I'm stealing that manipulator of the pitches. That's
her pitch manipulation is incredible, man. Shout out to Jasmine. Right? So I put the title of that one on the bottom for anybody who, you know, Jasmine Horn Green.
The whole album is good.
Yes, no doubt. I wish I knew the personnel, man. You know, but
there's a lot of cats on there
it's
too.
A lot
and
of
I don't want to say the wrong people.
I know. I don't either. So we gonna move. We gonna move on. Let's look at number 2 now. It's funny that you put this one on here. This is FTB. I'm not sure exactly what that means. I could throw out several guesses.
A couple people aren't. There are some guesses that I think are the same guess, and I just have never dove into that theory of what it stands for.
We need the answer. So somebody holler at Glasper. We need the answer. FTB.
Knowing Glasper, I think I know.
I know. But you know what? I maybe see, and maybe because of the second track with Lettucey, it throws it off, right? It's gonna be all right.
Because it's such a love song, like no matter what.
I don't know,
but maybe that's why it's gonna be all right. Cause
right, exactly. But I think for any playlist with a newer person digging into the music, that Glasper is important to be on there.
Yeah.
Regardless of what you feel about him musically, I love him musically. But
me too.
I mean, just him combining the elements of R&B, gospel, hip hop all together, and with the playing dexterity of a Herbie Hancock, and the technical facility he has, it's really good, man. His personnel is heavily crafted and selected for the best amount of sound. So we gonna get into this one. You which one? Well, we'll start with the piano one, and then we'll get a little bit into
you know, it's funny. That's how I used to do it in my show in Atlanta. I start with the instrumental and then veer into the the vocal, and people love it because you don't expect it, but it's like perfect. It's perfect.
Man, we'll get into the instrumental version first, and then the vocal, like Miss Sweeney said. You know, I'm just trying to do all right for the coach. All right, here we go. So this is FTB by Robert Glasper. Let's check this out.
Glasper. And this is such a good album too.
So good. And the ending of this one, super smacking.
It's such a good album. I mean, people talk a lot about Black radio, but I talk about In My Element and Double Booked a lot, which were, you know, before that, because it's like, get to really know Robert with these two albums first before you just know Black radio, which is a great album too. You know what I mean?
Right. You know, it's. I was gonna say it's interesting because I feel like I love Black radio. I love that music. But I do feel like the Canvas. Or In My Element and Canvas, both of those kind of got swept under the rug because of Black radio. And it's like if you're digging Black radio, I bet money you would be digging the other two as well. But you know, I guess Glasper never really tried to go back and get people to listen. I guess he was just like, listen, you know, if you really dig,
have to,
if you're digging it, you'll check it out on your own, you know.
Right. So. Or you won't, and you'll just dig Black radio and everything I've done since then, and I'll be fine with that.
Right, exactly.
That's cool. For me as a jazz DJ, I play way more In My Element, Double Booked, Canvas than I do Black radio, because I want people to really understand who Robert is outside of all his Lauryn Hill comments and all of that. I really want people to understand who he is as a musician. Do you know what I mean?
Well, this is the reality of the situation. No matter how you think he handled it, in my eyes, I ain't
mad at the brother.
He didn't say nothing wrong. He didn't say nothing that any musician
has never said.
I
know some that have worked with her, and I was like, he's actually being quite honest. So, but he's an awesome musician, and I don't want that to get swept under the rug.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So.
Right. I mean, you know, we just gotta be honest about people and understanding that they make a cultural impact. And also understanding that they might need to clean up things a little bit. Sometimes we get so caught up in the person and the impact that they made, and we're not looking at their actions. You know what I'm saying? It's like I don't know. It's like I can't describe it, but basically, if somebody saved the city, right? They saved the city. It's like, wow, the city is saved. The superhero. Then the next 10 years, he was just doing terrible things to the city, but like everybody kept looking at like he saved the city that one time. It's like he been bombing the city down for 10 years ever since. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like unfortunately you know, Lauryn had gotten to that bag where it was like, you know, she had this classic groundbreaking album, and you know, and I mean, with the live show, she didn't put the time in. You know, I've had people go to the shows and be like, "Yo, I wasn't rocking with it," and you know, it's not to dog her or anything like that. I'm an artist. I would never dog another artist, but it's like, hey, you know, we gotta go where the people are. If the people aren't happy, you gotta at least look and be like, all right, how could I fix this? How could I tweak this? I don't know.
Absolutely.
But this ain't about Lauryn Hill. This is about Nicole Sweeney. So we gonna move on.
Another Jersey girl. I'm a New Jersey girl. A New Jersey girl, I should say, since I just moved to Jersey. You just moved. Tell me about the move to Newark, because now of course you're doing the evening jazz radio at WBGO, which is in Newark. So I know that at least makes the commute to work much easier. Yeah.
But,
well, you know,
was it tough to move to New Jersey?
No. I shouldn't be so honest about this because I don't want everybody flooding Jersey now. But let me tell you something. Jersey, I mean, I do encourage a lot of people to come to at least to look into it, because you can still get to and from New York and you're not on top of each other. I feel like rent is a bit more feasible. You can, there's more options out here in New Jersey. Buildings got elevators. In New York, y'all don't have no elevators. And if you do, it's like a luxury building.
My building got it.
It's crazy how things in Jersey like that are just normal, where it's like, oh, it's 4 stories, girl. I remember them days. I used to hang in the city. They'd be like, girl.
I live on the fourth. I live on the fourth floor walk up, so it ain't no rush.
Jersey don't know what walk up is. They're like, what's a walk up? Like
Right.
we got a carriage house. Like I've lived in a carriage house in Jersey. Jersey is the move. I love Jersey. And of course it helps that the station's in Jersey and it's been good to me. So I love it.
Okay. I should get into some fan questions. So the first one is gonna come from Brother Douglas. If Desron is listening, shout out to Desron.
Brother
Brother Douglas. But
what he want now?
Yeah, right. What you want, Des? What is the state of relations between artists and DJs at the moment? Would you say? Yeah, it's a two-parter. You know, Des wanted your deep thoughts. See?
Well, that's a good question because I've had this conversation before, and I feel that the relationship, it needs a lot of work. It needs a lot of work. I often stop myself from comparing it to when I did radio in Atlanta because it is a smaller city. So there's not as many people, as there is out here in, New York and what have you. But I often am disappointed at the relationship between announcers and musicians. And I don't know I don't want to say who's to blame. I don't know who it leans on. And maybe it's right in the middle. We both can do things differently. I know that. Mm-hmm. But I don't know how it got to a place where I've built my own relationships, and that's even before I got to BGO. When I lived in Atlanta, me and a couple of musicians were friends already.
Yeah. When you got to New York and you were looking for a gig, you was hanging with us.
Right. I was already.
I'm just out here. I remember. We was
remember.
I remember. But yeah, we be kicking it. Like you'd be like, yeah, I'm still looking for a gig, but I'm here.
Dedicated to the music, right?
Where to hang at? What we doing?
Right.
It was never.
That actually continued to inspire me as opposed to just being discouraged. Like, man, never mind. Being with y'all and surrounding myself with the music was like, it was a reminder that this is where I need to be. You know what I mean? Because then you got your parents in your ear, like, you ain't got no job yet.
Right.
Like, maybe that's not what you need to do. You need to go ahead and get you a real job. And then you're like, well, maybe they're right. And then, things happen.
It's hard to chase something when you're not necessarily seeing the benefits right away.
Right.
It's very difficult. Even in our community, we have these little steps. It's like, all right, cool. I got my first free gig. Then I got my first low paying gig.
Right.
Now I got my first regular paying gig.
Exactly.
It's little steps to at least show progress or direction, going in some direction. So it could be. I'm sure it could be frustrating if you're putting in application after application. It's just like nobody's hiring.
I sent my stuff into this one person he's not at the station anymore, so I guess I could tell the story. And one of my coworkers were like, send it to him. You've been doing this. You've been in Atlanta. You've been in Philly. Like, send it to him. And he totally ignored it. Like, never got back to me. And that was discouraging. But then he had left. And then the person that replaced him, she was like, send it to him. And I was just like, okay, girl. But by that time I was like, I'm not sending it to anybody for it to get ignored again. I was just, at that point I was really like, maybe this isn't for me. And then she said, did you send it to him? Like a week later, did you send it to him? Because he's asking for it. And I was like, well, shoot, let me send my demo. And then everything just kind of fell into place after that. So it's funny who hears you. People hear you differently. I guess for this one person, he was like, I don't want her. This one person was like, gotta get her. And I've been at BGO ever since. But I think back to that question, I would love for announcers and musicians to have a much better relationship. I would love for the lines of communication to be open way more. I would love for y'all to tune in more, and not just to me, but just tune into the station. Tell us what you like. Tell us what you don't like, and try to tell us without you in mind. Like, try to tell us as a listener, because
Right.
I'll hear why you don't play my stuff, and it's like,
No, people don't ask you that for real, do they? But you know what's funny about that? You know what's crazy about that? Because people will ask you, hey, why aren't you playing my stuff? And then not even be listening. I'm gonna keep it a buck with you. I'm gonna keep it a buck with you, because I don't, you know me, I don't play them games trying to, you know, beat around the bush or whatever. Like, I don't listen to jazz radio a lot of the time. I listen to you because you fly, and you know what I'm saying, and you'll keep my attention. But a lot of times, if I'm sitting there and somebody's like, well, that was the great Miles Davis. And what a fantastic rendition of So What again. Just revisiting that album, all of the musicians that we already know, because we're the only ones listening. No average listener is going to listen to the tone of this voice for an extended period of time. This is jazz radio. Right. Come on, man. Come on, man. And nobody want to hear that. You know what I'm saying? And then, you know, so it's just, again, it's just about having an honest conversation.
That's right.
You know, we got to, you know, and like with us, if somebody's not cutting the mustard on the bandstand, yo, bro.
Don't tell them.
Hey, look, somebody hit you with I'm going in a different direction creatively. They'll hit you with one of them joints. You know what I'm saying? All the time. But like, I don't know, man. I feel like sometimes it feels like jazz radio just, they on tenure or something. Like they don't lose their jobs, and they're not doing anything except reading off a CD player. Hey, well, you know, this is such and such, so and so, whoop-de-woo, skibbly, blah blah. They put the record on. You know, that was great. Oh yeah, all right, next record. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can feel that there's a lack of relationship with the artist sometimes. You know what I'm saying? And a lack of excitement. You know, that's why I don't know, man. Like, if I you know, you got to give people a reason to come back. You know what I'm saying? Even with this joint, like, if one person sticks around, it's like, cool, then I could gain whatever. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to keep one person, but I got to do something to mix it up. And if the format's not working, right? Because my thing is, like, jazz is 2% of the market, which blows my mind because the music is so dope.
It is so dope, though.
So if jazz is 2%,
we gotta present it that way. But keep going. But we'll go back to that. We gotta present it that way.
The musicians have the job to present art, to present the art
as we do as radio people, though.
Yeah. But you know, I think conversations like this are important. I would never bring you up here and be like, what's wrong with jazz radio? If you knew the answers, you be over here balling. You know what I'm saying?
I'd be ready for that conversation. I defend jazz and jazz radio all the time.
The thing about it, though, is you shouldn't have to defend jazz radio. If I'm a jazz artist and my job is to get my music on the radio, right? One of my jobs is to get my music on the radio. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter who's playing as long as the market is increasing. So it's like, I don't know. You said it right, though. We have to find a way to support each other and be honest with each other and have these kind of conversations. Now because I had this conversation, and you know, it's like, all right, cool. I gotta really keep in mind when Nicole's radio show is and promote that thing. But also, I feel like some jazz radio hosts don't do a good job of promoting or for real. If you know what I'm saying? Hey, here's my radio. Like, you'll say it on the radio, but not everybody's on the radio. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes you need a little reminder. Hey, cats, tune in. Here's my show. Here's a flyer. Like, you know, we got. I mean, I think at this point, jazz radio hosts got to hustle like we do. You know what
Absolutely.
I mean? Even for this joint, I put up a little flyer. Hey, cats, you know, we coming back at 12:30. Because people will forget, you know, I'm not no institution, you know, I'm just doing this shit because of quarantine.
You know, in radio, the thing is you have to really say things. There's a certain number, about like 10 or 12, but people don't really, it doesn't stick until they've heard it for the 10th or 12th time. So yes, you have to keep reminding people about things. And I mean, I agree with you with the presentation of jazz radio. You know, God, there's so much. Look, this disappears in 24 hours, right?
No, well, I mean, you know, I've been putting the joints on YouTube, but again, I think it's really important that we have an honest conversation about it. You know what I'm saying?
I do too. You know, it's interesting. I was actually speaking with.
I'm gonna be right back. I'm just getting I gotta keep an eye on the time because I'll talk through this whole thing. You keep going though.
You know, I was having a conversation with Jeff Duperon, who worked for WRTI in Philadelphia. That's actually the first station because I went to Temple in Philadelphia. And rest in peace to Jeff. When you want to talk about a jazz DJ who supports, like Jeff Duperon was one of the best. And not just Philadelphia support, like Jeff supported musicians and the music. He definitely was one of the best out there. And we were having a conversation about doing like a I don't know why the word is slipping me. Maybe it's the Prosecco. But doing like doing like a talk where radio and, we really are honest about what we have to go through and musicians and having a real conversation about why maybe your album isn't accepted or, why. It's going to be a hard conversation to have, but I think it's time for us. I mean, look at what we're going through right now. We need to definitely open up way more relationships professionally. If this hasn't taught us anything, for me, it's like, wow, we really have to start connecting much better than we're doing. So, I mean, in Atlanta, cats used to call us. We don't take phone calls at BGO, but in Atlanta, cats used to call us and they used to come by the station for drives. So we really had a relationship with a lot of the musicians in Atlanta. And again, it's not all on the musicians. I would love to have some of y'all come down for a drive and support BGO. There's things we have to do on our side as well to open up the relationship. And honestly, that's one of the things I try to do, even without WBGO. Do you know what I mean? Like I try to promote my show. I try to do, my own little thing on social media. Sometimes it's hard to get the full support of the station because I'm not one of the, I'm not one of the elders. I haven't been there for 30, 40 years. So I still kind of fight my way to get recognition for what I do. So it's always a battle, but I'm here for it.
Listen, I'm down too. I don't mind somebody telling me this is the reason why your song didn't get played. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, it's an honest conversation. I got to keep it real because I'm the type, I'd be like, well, fuck y'all. Y'all ain't got to play my music. I'm going to find somebody to play this joint. You know what I'm saying? I ain't tripping. But at the same time, I would respect the honesty. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of times, especially on, man, oh my God, man, just music in general, man. People are so fake and they won't say what's real. You know what I'm saying? They won't give the real, hey, your album was cool. Like it wasn't killing. It wasn't the best thing I ever heard. It was cool, this and that, or giving honest opinions. But we try to politics so much because it's like, well, if this person blow, I don't want to ruin this relationship. It's like, yo, but you ruin the relationship by not being honest. And then we get these people with these big egos that can't hear an honest opinion about their music. And I mean, artists, we sensitive about our stuff for sure. Like Erykah Badu said it right. We artists and we sensitive about our shit.
That's right.
But at the same time, I think it's important to like, I will say that, like when I was in Chicago and my record first came out, it was heavily towards like, R&B, hip hop. What happened?
Oh, there you go. I was like, somebody's pausing, but there you go.
Okay. Like it was very heavy towards like hip hop and R&B, and a lot of people who I sent the music to was just like, hey man, I'm gonna be honest with you, we're looking for more straight ahead programming, and I was like, all right, cool, I get that. Like, it never bothered me. Like I feel like sometimes it bothers people when they're not calling them the second coming of Jesus.
But see, to even piggyback on that, if you're listening, if you're familiar with the radio stations and you'll find a DJ that can play that. Because there's something that I might not be able to play, and I hate to say that, like be able to play, but I'll pass it off to like Simon Retner, who does the checkout, whose show is his purpose is really to broadcast and highlight music that is of a different spectrum. So I'll say, yo, holler at Simon, get your music on there. But if you listen and are familiar with the DJs and build relationships, you might know, what, Nicole might not be able to play this. Let me holler at Simon, let me listen and even look through Nicole's playlist and see what these DJs are playing, because we don't play music for us. Trust me, if we did, y'all would be hearing like Donald Byrd, the Blackbirds, Bobby Humphrey. Like you would hear a lot of the similar, same things, because I'd be playing for me. I have to play for so many people, and jazz is so particular. I mean, I can't tell you some of the emails that I've gotten like that. You didn't like that? Like it's. So for us to go in there and accept something new, like a new album, it's like, I want to play that. But sometimes I just wish we had better relationships where I could even say, I don't want to say guide, but there's just certain albums where it's like, bam, this is a great album, because I can play no matter what time of the day, no matter what I have to play next, a vocal, a global, which is like Afro-Cuban. There's something on this album for every single slot I need to fill. That's a great album for us DJs. Yeah. There's certain albums where it's like, I can only play 1 or 2 tracks. So you're not going to always pull for that album. You're going to pull for the album that's going to give you more variety, because you're playing for hundreds and thousands of millions of people in so many different places of the world. So that's like one of the hardest jobs as a DJ, is to try to please so many different tastes. Within jazz.
Right. And
it's hard, but we get it done, and I think it's how you present it to people. If you present it the way you just did, it comes off kind of, but I think if you present it in a way like, this is music, did it feel good to you? Like, damn, didn't that feel,
don't that feel great?
People don't even realize that they might not have really loved the 2 tracks before. They're just like, yo, this feels good. This is a vibe. This is an experience. And that's what I want more jazz DJs to present, is an experience and not necessarily a lesson, an education. The education is important, but some DJs present music as a lesson book and not an experience of the music. And I think the lesson book can throw, I think it throws people off. I think it can turn people off.
Going back to radio personalities, I feel like a lot of radio personalities in different genres have a way of making music excitable to the people who are checking it out with them. And jazz is more like, we're like, yo, kick back, relax, and listen.
Jason Marshall, we got your album. I played it a couple times. I just saw his note. We played Jason's album. We got it. That's the homie.
Yeah, all day, man. Put the title of it on there, man, so I could pub you up, Jay. I can't remember the title right now, but I'm about to say "Love Unstoppable." That's a Fred Hammond album. I know that ain't it.
No, Jason's album is good. Good stuff. Yeah. Good stuff.
We got a couple minutes left, and one of the reasons why I want to bring you on for sure is because I think it's important as a radio host for you to play some stuff that you think would drive more people in. So tell us about "Woman of the World" by Donald Byrd. Why'd you pick this track?
Donald Byrd. Oh my gosh. Okay, Donald Byrd. I love Donald. I get all giddy. I get weird about Donald Byrd.
Joy unspeakable. Thank you.
He's like, Donald Byrd is for me who, look, I say this, and if anybody steals it, I say that hip hop is my best friend who introduced me to my first love, and jazz is my first love, because they're both so important to me, and there's not one without the other for me. Yeah. So Donald Byrd, when I interned at RTI in Philly, I didn't really know jazz. I did know jazz. I just didn't know that I knew. And that's really, I think, for so many people, they don't think they know jazz, but jazz is around us. It's around us so much that people know it, whether they realize it or not. So when I interned at RTI, they gave me a playlist, thankfully, because I didn't, I would have went on there and made a fool out of myself. Mm-hmm. So I would have a playlist, and I would go and pull the music, and I would listen to some of the songs before I went on. And I played Donald Byrd, Blackbird. They had that on my playlist. And I was like, is this the right song? Because this is the right song? And Blackbird for me, I mean, you know, as an African American woman, I went back to school. I took a leap of faith because I went to Temple out of high school and then I took a long break and then I went back to Temple. And
Okay.
that's when I went to intern and did all that stuff. So Blackbird, a black woman, I'm flying, I'm finding my way. It just, it connected me to the music in a way that no other song had. And then again, I was like, wait, this is jazz because, you know, it's not traditional, but it was still like, yo,
Yeah.
this feels good. I remember
Yeah.
feeling like, damn, this song feels good to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I would always say, like, can you program that Donald Byrd Blackbird in my show? Like every time I went to intern, I would ask them to program that song. And so Donald Byrd is it for me. And I think for a woman, like your demographic was 25 to 40, women
Yeah,
of the
yeah.
world, you've come a long way, baby. You know, women, we're always kind of going through just fighting to find our way in the world.
Talk to him. I'm
And
listening.
so that song for me, Woman of the World, I mean, even the way Donald plays the trumpet, you feel like you feel like he's serenading you as the woman of the world that you are, finding your way. So I love Donald. I love that song.
That's what's up. Shout out to Donald Byrd, man. One of the you know, one of the pioneers, especially when you talk about the you know, the sample, when you get into the sampling of hip hop. But that's a whole nother conversation, you know. Feel free to check it out. Let me do a quick commercial. Feel free to check it out on YouTube. I had a conversation with Jared Schill from assistant professor of music education at Berkeley, and we had a whole conversation about jazz and hip hop and the different samples that connect them and all that good stuff. So if you want to check that out on YouTube, I got a couple more joints. You can type in Christopher McBride Hidden Gems. We got some full episodes up, including this one with Nicole, you know, as long as she give me permission.
Of course.
We'll post this up. But without further ado, we're going to check this out. This is by Donald Byrd, Woman of the World. Here we go.
Yeah.
Woo, I forgot how dope this brother is.
I see it. Music is just, you can hear a song 80, 100 times. Let that next time come on. You be like, damn, I forgot how good that song is. Love it, love it. See, right there. How could you not feel it's like the trumpet's flirting with you? You're like, okay, stop. Oh, I love Donald Byrd. Love him. As you know, fellas, y'all can make more songs for us, please.
You got a good point. You want to keep rocking with this one?
Yeah, keep it on.
All right.
But this is so cool, Chris. I'm glad you're doing this because, I mean, look, we're doing some things differently at work. We're working from home. And so, again, it's like, it's hard to feel connected as we're, you know what I mean? We're all on lockdown, but this is cool. Don't nobody really care about us radio folks, so.
Well, you know, I mean, like I said, for me, it's about searching for the bigger issue again, because I just feel like, you know, I don't know, we just got to figure out a way to support each other. I think it needs to be a better understanding between the artists and the DJs, and we kind of use each other. Unfortunately, it feels like this climbing on top of each other to kind of one up each other, as opposed to being like, you know, if you have your radio show and you put something out on social media, hey cats, you know, I would love to help promote a jazz radio person, because that's only helping me. Right. At the end of the day, even if my music's not being played now, at some point it will need to be played. That's and it would be nice to know the people who are playing the music. Like I can't tell. I mean, I know a bunch of people from WBGO, but I couldn't tell you 5 DJs from around the world. You know what I mean, or around the country. And you know, we should be. It should be something to that. You know, like when I hit a city, some people could tell me 1 or 2, but you know, we got, you know, just. I don't know, having those personalities and finding that connection where we could kind of hold hands and work together, as opposed to just constantly using each other for political gain. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because
And I
it's
will
not
say
the
this.
only the music suffers. Only the music
Always.
suffers, and only we suffer because again, the audience are the people who aren't getting the information. You
Right.
know, so
And it's funny. Our audience at BGO, they want to hear new music. They want to be familiar with new artists. They're always telling us that. And and it's not really a secret, but there was a long time at BGO where we had people in power that weren't about the music, and that's real. They were not about the music. They were not about the people who play the music. And for a while, that held the station down. It really, I think, it was like an anchor. And it was just it was just dark and gray. Because even for someone like me who feels like I walk in there with the purpose, it's hard to do that when the people at the very top don't have that same purpose. You're kind of always getting just cut off, like, no, we can't do that. Nah, I can't do that. That's not going to work. But now we have people in power. I can honestly say that. I mean, we have people in power that started BGO. Ain't nobody more passionate than that person who started the station. So I feel like we're in a direction of moving forward and getting back into building those relationships. There are people now that really understand how important relationship building is between us at the station and the musicians. Unfortunately, people wanted us to just be cut off, and we can't run a successful anything that way. So I'm actually confident about the future of BGO. And as crazy as it seems, this pandemic has brought more people to the station.
Well, I mean, because you can listen a little more, and not only that, I feel like the pandemic, in a way, has done stuff like open these kind of lanes for conversations,
right?
To have them and to figure it out and all that good stuff, man, and to try to figure out ways just so we can build up each other. You know what I'm saying? Like that's all that It's just about
we cannot
building up each
survive
other.
without one another. Jazz radio can't just do jazz radio and not we have to build the relationships have to get better. I mean, I would love to personally see like jazz unplugged shows go on at BGO where, like how MTV used to do their like little intimate unplugged sets. I would love to have people, musicians come to the station and do little shows for maybe like the members and things like that. Definitely more interviews, just more stopping by. I mean, in my station in Atlanta, cats would just stop by. Like Freddie Cole would just stop by the station
and just hang.
King Cole's brother.
Yeah, right. Just hanging.
Just come by. Here you go. Here's the CD. And I would love more of that kind of relationship building between us and the artist.
Now here's a question. What happens if you run into a situation where there's an artist who is persistent? I'm sure you have these experiences where you have an artist who is super persistent and the powers that be have decided, not to or that they're not playing their music or whatever, but they're stopping by the station every time like, hey, when you gonna play my album? When you gonna play my album? Could it turn into that? Because for me personally, I guess I never I feel like if I stopped by, people would be happy to see me, but like, what are you doing here? That's kind of weird. You know what I mean? I don't know.
I mean, and that's how it was in Atlanta, and I would like to see a bit more of it. Like if you're just in the area, why not just stop by BGO? Why not? Were you gonna stop by the other jazz station? Ain't no other jazz station. Stop by. Come say hi. I would love to see more of you all. I mean, I'm on in the evening,
I'm gonna pull up on you one day. I'm gonna pull up. No doubt.
But again, I think we have the people in place now that would be happy to, that would welcome that,
Word.
So I want to see more of that happen. I'm definitely, unfortunately, this quarantine, I was ready to get out and bust a move, and then the quarantine locked us down. But I can't wait, also me personally and professionally, to get back out and connect with you all too, because that, honestly, for a while I wasn't going out because I had my daughter and things like that. And I thought, all I want to do is be a mom. I'm never going out again. Yeah, right. And I got to a point where I went out to my first show and I was like, oh my God, like I felt so rejuvenated. And I was like, this helps me to go be a better vessel to this music when I go do my work. as a DJ. I don't think I'm just a DJ. I think I'm really someone who presents the music. Like I have a job to do when I get on that radio station and play certain music.
You the ambassador, man. Somebody listen to the station for the first time, you know, because that's the thing. The genre of jazz, in particular, hip hop, you could be like, yo, I like Lil Wayne, but I don't like, you know, Lil Uzi Vert. Or I like, you know, I like Kendrick Lamar, but I'm not the biggest fan of whoever. You know what I'm saying? But with jazz, if somebody hears jazz and that shit ain't hitting, or it don't hit them the way it was, they're like, it's cool. Jazz is okay. Like the whole genre gets pigeonholed.
Gets the whole.
They don't say, hey, that motherfucker wasn't swinging. You see what I'm saying? They
I hate jazz.
Like, nah, jazz is all right. So that's why it's so important. Like when somebody comes to a show and experiences that for the first time, that you try to make that an experience. You know what I'm saying? Because you might lose them if they come to the show and the joint is whack, and you know, or it's mediocre and cats ain't really putting they all into it. You might lose them, man, and that terrifies me. To like somebody to come to my show and be like, yeah, that was all right. I'll be like, what? All right,
never coming back.
You know. So we got some questions from some people. This is what we're gonna do, guys, because I want to make sure that we can get to some questions and all of that. So we got a list of songs. I'm going to
play the songs, do the questions.
Yeah.
This is what we do on radio. We talk over the music now. That's just flow.
You know, we keep it. We try to keep it an hour show. But if you want to keep going, you know, we can rock.
I don't even know what time it is, bro.
We got like 10 minutes left. So let's dig into Terry Lynn Carrington. So you have Terry Lynn Carrington, Simply Beautiful.
I sent you the list and I'm acting like I ain't. I'm like, oh yeah. I'm acting like I ain't sent you the list.
That's my jam.
Well, the whole Mosaic project is, look, 25 to 40. I mean, that's just that project altogether is, it's such a great project. I mean, Esperanza's on there. I don't know. Let me say who I know is on there. Cassandra Wilson's on there. Nona Hendrix is on there. Diane Reeves. I think Tia's on there. Ingrid Jensen's on there. It's just a project full of the best female women musicians ever.
All right.
So Sheila E. is on there. It's such a great album, and it's an album that I think a lot of women can connect with, whether this is like your introduction to jazz or not. The Mosaic Project is great. And then Simply Beautiful, again, I feel like women need to hear more music that speaks to them. Even outside of jazz, there's not a lot of music being made anymore that tells us how sensuous and sensual and beautiful we are. Music kind of does this to us. You're this, you should do, you know, and it just doesn't feel good. So Terry Lynn, that song Simply Beautiful is just that. It's simply beautiful. So, and I want more women to feel that way too. And the word simply is important too. Like we're beautiful without all the, you know, all the extras. We are simply beautiful. So that's why
I think one of the beautiful things about jazz, the thing that kind of drew me into jazz initially, I feel like a lot of me, like hip hop is like, we party, we having a good time, or, you know, or I'm mad, you know, you mad about whatever's going on.
MOP.
Or like, oh, I'm a player, you know what I'm saying? Or you doing whatever. You know, like there's very definitive statements on the mood that you should feel.
Right.
With jazz, the beautiful thing about jazz music is it covers these subtleties of emotion, you know, like you said, sensual, you know what I'm saying? Like I feel sensual. When the last time a song made you feel sensual? You know what I'm saying? Or melancholy, right? Or you know, calm or aggravated. Like these subtle details of emotion. Right. That's what the beauty of the music is. It's like you get into the details of emotion. And I feel like a lot of times people are so scared to really dig into their emotions that jazz kind of it makes them back off a little bit because like I have to feel
that's
this.
too deep.
Yeah. Why y'all gotta be so deep?
Let me see what the baby's saying. This is too deep.
Yeah, you know. So but having that understanding is a start. Like I'm going to go on this, on this journey and this experience with how this makes me feel, and being able to embrace that, So I don't know. Like I said, we find the solutions. If me and you find the solution, then I'm with it. You know what I'm saying?
You want to do it, McBrizzle?
I'm not necessary. I don't got to be right. I just want to win. So with that being said, we're going to play Simply Beautiful by Terry Lynn Carrington. Here we go. Let's check this out.
Wilson.
Immediately. The way you squeeze me.
When's the last time you've been squoze?
Since the quarantine?
Right, since the quarantine.
Before the quarantine? Oh.
That's a very sensual song.
Yeah, that's a vibe. I'm putting this on my playlist.
Yeah, some candles.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Little wax.
Yeah. Expensive bottle of wine, something over $15.99. Mm-hmm. Yes.
You got that chic wine.
Not that $2 Chuck. Not for this song.
$2 Chuck. I love it.
Not for this song. Yeah, I love that the whole album is good though. Whole album.
So tell me the personnel on there again. I mean, that was Cassandra Wilson singing.
Cassandra Wilson, the drummer. There's percussion, so I want to say Sheila E's on that song. I know she's on the album.
Right.
Regina Carter, Mimi Jones is on the album. Esperanza's on the album. Ingrid Jensen. Like every badass female musician, woman, she's on that album. She's on it. Nona Hendrix.
Gotcha. Oh. Man, we have we only got a couple minutes left.
Okay.
We usually do an hour. We've been going at it for a minute.
This hour.
Yeah. Time flies when you're having fun. Well, if you want to keep sticking around, we can get to some more questions. Just let me know. But I don't want to hold you. But I will share your playlist to everybody.
Okay, cool.
I'll definitely recommend them to check it out. And if you guys are feeling this, if you guys are feeling these conversations and these live streams, please feel free to spread the word. My flyer, you just screenshot it, shoot it to your people. We trying to get it as many people involved as we can, especially with the music. One other interesting thing about you that I think people don't know, you were a frequent consultant with Dr. Oz. Could you tell us about that a little bit?
How did that happen? How did I get? It's this one girl that I met at.
I was like, when I saw you on Dr. Oz, not only once, but a couple times.
I think I was on there like 3 times. I met Oprah.
Sweetie,
a
hustler, man. Sweetie, a hustler.
I met Oprah on Dr. Damn Oz. Okay. No, this one girl, let me tell you something. And I've said this before, and I stand by this. You never know who's around you. You don't know who, and I say that also to say be kind to people, because you don't know who's behind you in the grocery store, at Walmart, the gas station. You don't know who people are. And I was at an event and I chopped it up with this girl.
We got 2 minutes left. They gave me the 2-minute one. Just to let you know.
Silvana's her name, and she was a producer. And I think when I met her, I don't think she was working with Dr. Oz, but eventually she started producing for Dr. Oz and was like, hey, they have this segment on this. Like, do you want to come do the segment? And I was like, yeah, sure. And then from then, they would call me. The one for Oprah, though, I had to like kind of put a bid in. And she was like, you got picked for the Oprah segment. I was like, girl. And they still send me emails, but I'm kind of mad at Dr. Oz for that.
What doc do?
That COVID thing he said with the kids, like, oh, we could spare a few thousand kids. I don't know if I want to go back on there right now.
Yeah. That ain't good for the brand. You know what I'm saying? We moving forward. That ain't good for the brand. We can't do that.
But yeah, those were fun. TV is fun. It's not radio. It's so different, but because like I can go to work like this, y'all wouldn't know. I'm still sound cute. Let me stop.
We got a couple seconds left.
Okay.
So listen, check out Nicole Sweeney's radio show in the evenings on WBGO. What time? What time can they catch you?
8 to 1, Monday through Thursday. Remember, I'm off today. I'm off.
Got you. She off. All right. It's Prosecco day today. All right. Don't ask her about playing no more music. But yeah, so Monday through Thursday, 8 to 1. I will definitely be tuning in to one of those.
Yes,
for sure.
please,
And
please.
I just appreciate you for your work for the culture. I know it's sometimes it's thankless and it's it's very task worthy, but just on behalf of the musician community, we appreciate you. We love you. And we hope that you keep putting in the work for the culture. We'll make sure we do the same. Everybody stay safe.
Yes, y'all. Stay inside.
Yes. We'll see you soon. Thank you guys so much.
Love you, McBrizzle.
Love you too.